3, 2, 1.
What is up, everybody? This is Drew, and
this is Brad,
and we are back once again with another episode of the Unidentified Flying Podcast. Let's just get first contact out of the way. It's in my head. Let's just get it out of the way. UFP Podcast at gmail.com, at UFP Podcast on Twitter, and Unidentified Flying Podcast on Facebook. Comments, concerns, ideas, critiques. I don't really fucking care. I don't read it, so...
Hate mail.
Brad cares.
Trolling.
Cares.
It's all welcome.
Yeah. Give us, we could use some trolls.
Podcast.
Speaking of trolls, that's going to be kind of,
maybe
leading
kind of
into
our follow-up.
Our follow-up, talking about some soccer in the state and some certain, a certain fan group, which just can't seem to help. Just trolling. Or they're not trolling and it's even worse. Yeah, which I think maybe they're not trolling and it's actually even worse.
That's what blows my mind. I actually listened to, we talked about the grid a little bit on our last soccer reference of an episode, and it was just like, well, I guess I should go back further. We had tried to contact every supporters group in the state, and we got awesome responses from everybody but one group, and guess who it was? It was the grid. And, we mentioned it, but we didn't just hammer on them because,
I might have a little bit.
We did a little bit, but I mean, just in compared to like how we did last episode, talking about them and this one, it's just, I guess the gloves are off. I don't know how else to put it. I'm just like, it's just goddamn annoying. And the reason I guess we're kind of following up a little bit is, the team they dog on a lot is the new one in Yukon, Rayo OKC, whatever the hell you want to call it. And,
they got a hard on for these guys, man. They cannot
really do.
Fucking leave them alone.
It almost, what's crazy is like, you can tell like, well, for instance, Rayo sold out, quote unquote, their first home game.
Yeah.
And I say quote unquote because, it was a home opener and some free tickets were given out, fucking shocker.
Which any team I think does that.
Yes,
period.
It does.
From all levels of sports, from the most successful
even the energy to this day. I don't think they're giving out.
The Thunder give out free tickets.
I know, dude.
It happens.
But I'm just saying,
Part
like,
of
especially for like a fledgling sport that isn't like filling the seats, soccer gives out a lot of free tickets right now because it's just new in the state.
Sure.
That's just,
yeah.
I mean, I guess that would be my first realistic argument here is, with the energy is like, guess what, guys? You're not selling out every game.
Yeah.
Even the sellouts, like, you're just like,
well, screw them anyway, man, because, I mean, free tickets are free tickets. There are probably kids that want to go see things that can't go see things, and now they manage to get a hold of some free tickets and they get to go see something.
And that's what a lot
it's
of the
nice
free
thing to do for people.
Yeah, and it goes back. We were kind of talking about what brought this on was the whole LGBT argument with Rayo and their kits and if they meant it or not. And it wasn't even the fact that they were dogging them on that issue. It was the fact like, well, guess what? This is coming from a group that repeatedly attacks this other team just because they don't want them there.
Yeah.
Period. And it's not even if Rayo didn't exist, this is what I take exception to. Even if Rayo didn't exist, they would then turn that animosity straight over to Tulsa and go, guess what? We want to be in MLS, and if there's any team in Oklahoma that needs to be elevated to MLS, it's definitely not Tulsa, it's us. Which, same thing, I get it, you're a fan of the team, you want your team over the other team, totally understandable. But they take it to a next fucking level, and they're just complete pricks about it.
Yeah, like I said, it's fucking petty. And
yeah.
It's...
This is called, they're called the Grid?
Yeah.
The Grid, yeah.
How long have these two guys been together?
Hey, they're at almost, I think, 200 members or whatever.
Wow.
Whoa, yeah.
Hey,
but that's what I think is the problem with some of the energy fans and the Grid, their supporters group, is like, I just kind of loosely described some of what's going on to my wife, and she cares, next to nothing about sports and or soccer, and she was like, "Oh, they're elitist." Oh, you're basically right.
Basically, yeah.
And would I love the team to be in the MLS and get, like have Oklahoma City have another
professional team?
on a major league or whatever kind of level, yeah, of course I would.
Yeah, hell, I'm pulling for the Roughnecks, and I think if it's not going to be Tulsa, I mean, I think it'd be cool. I mean, personally, if I want to be selfish, I want it to be Oklahoma City because I actually live close and I have a chance to maybe more likely go see a game. But
yeah,
I wouldn't be upset
closer.
if it was Tulsa, but I think it would be cool if it was either town got a professional team.
Honestly, Tulsa probably needs it. I mean, just from an Oklahoma overall standpoint, I mean, OKC's got a professional team of some caliber here, you know? I mean,
yeah.
Tulsa, they could probably use a little bit of fanfare.
I mean, they had a
over there.
WNBA team, and that's gone now too. That's not even there. Yeah, so
Yeah.
And then they had the development team for the Thunder. That's not there anymore either.
That's over in Tulsa now.
Oh, is it? I thought they moved the Blue to Oklahoma City.
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah, they used to be called the 66ers.
Yeah.
And then they renamed themselves the Blue.
Oh, no, that's right. Yeah, you're right. They moved them over to
So they're not even in Tulsa anymore either.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. I completely forgot about that.
So yeah, you might be right, but it's just the fact that like what pisses me off is like this group of people is like, you know, all about growing the game and come on, you're not doing it.
Yeah, and I wasn't like scoffing at WNBA because dude, they're really good.
Yeah.
It's just it doesn't bring in the same type of revenue.
No, hell, that's
And by same you mean none.
Yeah.
Because it brings it's it's you know, and actually I think we need to say here we're just like last episode we're still hanging out at Steve's house, so we've done 2 episodes back to back. And somebody might listen to this and be like, "Who's this other guy talking?" I don't know.
Who the fuck are you, man?
Yeah, who is this guy? Why are we here? Whose house is this?
Yeah, Steve's on a couple.
This is a nice
episodes for us.
couch. No, yeah. So yeah, we're still here. Thanks again for having us. Again, do you want to say anything to people? Say hi. No, fuck them. Okay. All right, I'm with you, man. To hell with them.
Nah.
No. Yeah. So that thing I kind of briefly mentioned it before, the Title IX thing. What the Title IX thing I was wanting to bring up was the fact that it was right after UConn, the women's team, murdered yet another victim. I mean, they're basically that team is a serial killer by like 60 points. Now, granted, OU got the shit beat out of them by Villanova by 44. Mm-hmm. However, that's an aberration. Like that people were like just shocked that happened. Mm-hmm. The UConn women roll through again 4 national titles in a row. They roll through the tournament. They beat their, I believe it's their Elite 8 opponent by 66 points. They beat their Final Four opponent by 45 points. And they win the national title winning by like 25 points. And the argument that I heard brought up was, is this what Title IX has given us? Like, no competition in this sport? Like, was Title IX worth it if this is what we get out of it? It's basically everybody goes, the best players go to UConn and murder everybody else.
God, I don't know, man. That's a can of worms. Because I mean,
I agree. And then,
I listened to a podcast that almost here lately has focused on nothing but women's college basketball, and I know to some like, oh god, that sounds insanely boring, and I'm honestly not that interested in college basketball on either side.
Fair enough.
But how they paint it is like they look at the numbers, like you're talking about, like why did like a lot of the best players go to UConn versus why isn't there more parity and things? I mean,
well, but that's the thing. There's only so many players on a team. You can only have so many players.
Yeah.
Are there only like 30 good, like elite female players at that age level?
Well, hey,
in the
talking about
United States?
WNBA, I mean, like a lot of people will dog it, but the best players don't always play in the WNBA because they can go overseas and make way more money, 3-4 times the money if they get the cheapest of contracts overseas than they do here.
Yeah.
So
But-
I mean, I can't blame them for doing that.
Yeah. I'm just
But
saying.
you can't also go like, well, you don't see the highest level of talent in the WNBA. Well, like, well, no shit, you know. And it's not because they suck always. It's because they can go to China, they can go to Russia, and play in other leagues and just make way more money than they would here. And I don't blame them for that.
Yeah. Oh no, I don't either. I just think it also harkens back to soccer, where I think it's an interesting flip, like a change in roles for the national teams in the United States. Just the United States, really.
Yeah.
Because, you know, the world over, it's the men's team that are the most popular. Mm-hmm. My perception is that anyway. I could be wrong, but in the United States, though, it's reversed. The
Yeah.
women's team, in my opinion, and we've talked about this at length, seems to drive the interest in the sport more than the men's team, which is, I think, like I just said, different than the rest of the world. However, but then when you see this big disparity in pay, people act all shocked here when I think we're looking at an international sport, though. The men, as much as they may not drive the interest in the sport as much as the women, they're part of the men's game, which internationally crushes the women's game in money made. Crushes it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Like, there's billions flying around in men's professional soccer the world over. There's millions.
Tens of millions.
In the women's game.
Yeah.
Now, we happen to be, we happen to have a national team on the women's side that is just crushing people and, I think favored to win anything they play in. They just beat the hell out of somebody. I think it was some sort of qualifier, 7-0. And it was supposed to be like, oh, this is one of the better teams. Yeah, we murdered them. So, anyway, that was when I was just following up on when I brought up the Title IX thing. I couldn't quite remember. I brought up Title IX and I was like, I don't remember what exactly about Title IX I was wanting to say. It was that I had heard the notion of Title IX brought up in reference to the domination of the UConn women's basketball team. But, anyway.
Going back to the grid.
Yeah, let's get to the grid. Because I remember when because you kind of had a case of the red ass about this whenever you called and talked to me. Because you were pissed off, and I was like, I totally understood.
I'm an energy fan.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a little bit different when you're like, oh, you look at, the side they're attacking and them firing salvos back at them. No, I'm an energy fan, and that, like, these people suck at what they do.
You'll say, hold on.
And like, I want to put this out front. Like, I'm sure there are some good fans in the grid and just good energy fans. I don't want to paint them all in a shitty light.
Sure.
But
now that you've said that, take a deep breath and give them both barrels.
Well, just to give an example, Rayo has their first game, and I've talked to you about this already, but they have a picture flying around on Twitter, and it's of their scoreboard. Okay? And it's the scoreboard's all lit up, and it's got, the score and lights and other bunch of bullshit. It's a scoreboard. And underneath it has, like, banners for advertisements and things, and one of them says, lighting vision, and it's got like the heraldry or the emblem or logo or what the hell it's called. I'm new to soccer, sorry people, but it's got Rayo's logo, and it's kind of like a quasi looking lightning bolt sort of, and like I said, next to it says lighting vision, and everybody from the grid itself, the people that are in the grid, they're just jumped on the fact of like, oh, you dumbass motherfuckers, you could have just used some more money and just got a spell checker out there, couldn't you? And I'm like, for me, I'm like, I'm guessing you're thinking it should say lightning vision, but I don't know. So I asked them, I'm like, do you honestly know whether it's supposed to say that or is it actually a typo? Well, I'm guessing it's supposed to say that because it's fucking obvious. That's a lot of the responses I got it. So I'm like, okay, that's all I needed to know. You were just guessing, and that's just an example of like what these people do is like they jump on. It'd be different if it was like some random troll on the internet or just some dipshit. But it seems to be like, well, that's actually the leadership of a lot of the people in the grid are doing this. They'd like to attack that team because they just don't want it there. And I know there's some animosity with the investment groups, and they got split up and they had a falling out or whatever, and one made one team and one made another.
And like we said last episode, at some point, just get the fuck over it.
Yeah, get the fuck over it.
Play some soccer.
There's some difference.
I think Rayo had the best fucking, like, you want to have some shots fired. I think Rayo had the best for sports teams or for what you're trying to accomplish here. Rayo had the best one. Whenever the Energy were losing,
It's home opener.
Rayo tweeted out something about that and said,
like, well, the Energy lost, but hey, next week world class soccer starts in UConn.
That's good sports shit
yeah,
talking.
All right, yeah, there's nothing wrong with shit talking.
Yeah, instead of like,
but when you're just being total pricks about, hey, look, somebody stubbed his toe over here at UConn. There's just these fucking people that shouldn't even exist.
Well, so their whole tactic is to be grammar Nazis.
I guess,
yeah.
Like,
correct the typo.
That's my point, dude. I'm
That's
like,
what they resort
wow,
to.
people, like, God, you're not even like, on a like what level are you on?
They're internet tough guy level.
I guess so, man. And that's something that would
and Silent Bob on this.
yeah. What was it?
Yeah, we need to hunt these motherfuckers down,
We
dude.
need a full list. We need to go find. Yeah.
What was interesting is, the podcast we've mentioned a couple times, Citadel podcast, that they cover just Rayo FC and the NASL. And good on them. They do a great job of it. They kind of talked about what we talked about last episode, where it was just like, why would you do this? The energy, or maybe Rayo, whoever, any soccer team here wants to elevate itself to a higher league. Why would you actually be going after other teams? You don't even have the total support of the community anyway. There was a guy that mentioned something to us online. And he was like, talking about free tickets that Rayo give away, and he's like, you won't see Energy giving away free tickets, in a restaurant.
Are you sure?
Well, this is the point I gave back to him. I was like, yeah, you know why? It's like, because nobody fucking knows about them. I'm like, seriously, like that was actually some of the criticism me and a friend had when we got into the team. Is like, God, their advertising is, nobody knows about this shit. I mean, I understand it's new. But getting no word out, I mean, like you would see like a billboard, and like occasionally, I like every couple months I saw like one commercial.
I just thought it was another natural gas company coming to town. I had no idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, another one. Wonderful.
Yeah, it's Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But
you know what it screams to me more than like, we can sit here and I agree with you. They're going about it being pricks. They're being shitheads. They're being petty. But do you know what else I think at the heart of it all, what it really is? They're fucking scared and worried about Rayo.
Yeah,
they are fucking terrified of these guys.
The responses you would see, like, hey, granted, they tried to paint that in a bad light too. Hey, Rayo sold out its home opener. Oh, well, how many free tickets and stuff? But a lot of the questions was like, what's the capacity at the stadium they play at?
Yeah,
yeah. I just like, I'm just saying.
It's
something this other podcast that I just mentioned, Citadel podcast, mentioned is like, would you rather Oklahoma City have one major soccer team or two? What would look better?
Two?
As far on a national... Yeah, two. Yeah. Of course.
More the better. Yeah, the more the better. I mean, the merrier.
LA's managing pretty good with two professional basketball teams. So
yeah, and two soccer teams now. They're going to have an MLS.
And how many baseball teams? Two, at least?
Yeah. I mean, I know, and it's the same fucking place.
Yeah, it's... Yeah.
How many hockey teams?
Two.
Yeah.
LA Kings and the Ducks.
Yeah, and San Jose's not far from.
I mean, that's
more
San Diego's not too far
San
from.
Francisco.
You want to go the Padres, the Chart. Yeah, but now granted, that's the most populous.
Yeah.
It's the most populous state in the union.
Yeah.
However, there are. I doubt we'll ever have two professional teams of any sort. But I guess if there was a sport where it could happen, soccer would probably be it.
I guess the only thing we need to sum up here is get fucking over it.
Yeah.
Energy fans. I mean, seriously. I kind of talked to you about this before we recorded coming up here. It's a long shot they get into MLS. Anybody in the state.
Yeah.
And on a personal note, Energy fans, if you do start giving away tickets, maybe I'll come and watch a game.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah. Hey, guess what? That's how you get new fans.
Yeah.
If you're looking to build your fan base, you give the shit away for free. You get them to come. And then you ask them to pay for more.
I guess the person that ran
have been doing this shit for years.
It's a proven business model, damn it.
I guess the criticism of that
The
was
CIA's been doing it for 50 years.
I know. I guess the criticism of that would be that the people that I think are ownership of Rayo used to run the Barons. And a lot of people from the Energy try to criticize them like, well, that's why the Barons failed, is because people started expecting free tickets and they never paid for them, and therefore they failed. And I'm like, I don't know, man. The fact that I could look up some, they're not amazing Thunder tickets, but they were like $30, and then I'd look at a Barons cheapest ticket was $40.
Yeah.
Which one am I going to go to? The Barons game or the Thunder game?
You're going to go see the Thunder.
Yeah,
I'm going to go see the fucking Thunder.
Put some $10 tickets out there. Oh, hey, all of a sudden it's looking a lot better.
I'd go to a Barons game.
Yeah.
And
even
then,
if it was like shitty seats.
And then you get hooked on the sport, and then maybe it's their $20, and you're like, okay, you know
Yeah.
what? I really like this game now. I really like this team. I'll pay $20 for it.
And I don't know what like NASL is looking for too. Like it depends on what league you're in, what kind of profit sharing they're looking at, the ownership. They get all together and have a big circle jerk about that because they don't want some team losing money.
3 years later, you're the guy that doesn't miss a game and takes his notebook with him every time.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyway, I'm just I guess let's knock the energy down on the peg. I don't even want to because I'm a fan of the team.
Nah,
But
fuck them, dude.
get fucking over it. Like seriously, you're probably going to be great teams in the USL for the rest of time. I hate to break it to you. It's a long shot we make it into MLS.
Sure.
They think like, hey, we just get a stadium built and like, fuck, we made it. No, I don't think so. We could talk about more about that, and I hope people let us know about it.
It's almost like the Energy are worried that they've had the lead on Rayo, and they're like worried that they haven't established themselves enough. They just, like I said,
fine.
They just seem so worried and nervous about this other, like, this new kid on the block.
That's what this ends up looking like when you do shit like this. Like, oh, fuck them. Oh, we need to talk shit
exactly.
about
The
them.
one thing I do know about the Energy I don't even know this personally. This is secondhand. I just know that their swag's pretty expensive. Like getting an Energy shirt and stuff like that.
Did you say swag on this podcast?
I did.
Okay.
That's something that's interesting is because, we talked about the Rayo's rainbow kits and like how people were kind of going after them about that charitable cause and whatever. And someone online got pissed, or didn't get pissed, but was like making the accusation like, well, they're just putting it out there to sell more tickets and jerseys, just make money off them. And one of the owners from the Rayo kind of got involved and something I was involved in and was like, who are you? Like you're trying to accuse us of, profiting off a charitable cause. And then something that that other podcast, Scissor Tail Podcast, brought up is that Field and Futures is a nonprofit organization that goes around the city and builds like soccer fields and things like that.
Wait. Are you trying to say?
Well, listen to this. $2 of every Energy ticket goes to Fields and Futures, who is owned by the owner of the Energy. So I'm like, is there a conflict of interest there? Do we need to start like asking questions about that? Like, how much money out of their nonprofit are they actually taking?
Yeah.
And are they making money off of a lot of it? Or
are they giving salary is he drawing?
What kind of salary are we drawing off it? I'm like, do we need to go down that road? I don't fucking think so.
Yeah.
Because I guarantee you probably won't like it. Anyway.
Yeah. And hey, I'm just giving you shit for the word swag because you actually used it how it's originally supposed to be used. People use it now and it just fucking annoys me. But I'm just fucking with you.
How do people normally use it?
Well, yeah, they'll use it now like swag, like if I got, style and shit like that, like fucking flat bill fucking idiots and shit like, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, are they using it like kind of like a shortened version, like
bling? It's like fucking bling.
Well, are they using it like a shortened version of swagger?
Essentially, I think so. Yeah,
I think
instead of swag isn't like merchandise.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just fucking with you, really, but yeah.
That's enough energy talk, I think.
Yeah, and hey, I think to change gears pretty hard here. Between the two podcasts, because we're recording two podcasts back to back here. Who knows when they're going to be released? Brad's the overlord of all that. But we talked about in follow up talking about the Downdraft Dome.
His Kickstarter project.
His Kickstarter, we were saying, man, he's at 93%. He's really close. He's got about a week left. And hell, we got done with that podcast 25 minutes, 30 minutes ago. You refreshed his Kickstarter page. He met his goal.
Bam, he's over it.
And he's over it now. So, hey, congratulations.
Yeah. Hell yeah,
so
good job.
It's not too late to get in on the stretch goal and you can get that thing glittered up.
Yeah. Here's the push to get that thing bedazzled.
Get that dome bedazzled.
Yeah. All right, so now let's go ahead and get into what we're going to talk about here, which I think is the Thunder, basically.
The Thunder in general, yeah. I don't think we're going to be talking about its most recent game or anything. That's usually not what we do too much on this podcast as it is, but I don't know where to start really.
Well, let me start by asking you a question.
Okay, go ahead.
This mic off to you.
We've been wanting to get you on to talk about the Thunder quite a bit because just in recent years I've heard you say certain things and they have come to light, or it's been well ahead of, like we say, light years ahead of the curve. And that's talking about the last episode we talked about how we paint things in a certain light here in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
That had some of it that played into some of it. So that's kind of why I'd like to get you on now and maybe more in the future talking about just the Thunder.
Maybe more.
Maybe we'll see
how this
goes.
Okay. Well, let me ask you, how are you feeling about Billy Donovan?
Well, we've talked about this I think a couple times before. He's all right. I mean, I don't have any like huge praise. He's a rookie coach. I can't like just shower him in praise right now because he's a rookie coach. He has, I think, a lot more to learn. Personally, I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing long term because it honestly has to play itself out because he's a rookie. If he had more experience in the NBA, I might be able to weigh in on a little bit more than that. But just from what I've seen this season, there's some, something we talked about before with him is that, or just any coach, what makes or breaks them is like that last minute of a game sometimes. And he's failed a lot on those.
You think he's very reminiscent of Scott Brooks?
No, not reminiscent of Scott Brooks. Just like he might not have known what to do. Which
I think you were kind of saying because Scott Brooks wouldn't necessarily, like, we call a timeout and there wouldn't be a play drawn up. It would be KD.
Yeah,
Westbrook,
that aspect, yes.
Okay.
But sometimes, like, he might not even known he needed to call a timeout there. Scott Brooks would have. Billy Donovan maybe not. Yeah. And that's not always the case. Every game's a little bit different.
Well, see, that's the thing I find a little bit interesting about Billy Donovan. I don't actually have a huge opinion of him one way or another yet.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have an opinion of him after the postseason. But what, and this might be me being hopeful about the whole thing, but one of the things I've seen him criticized for a lot throughout the season is just doing random shit. Just doing things just to do things.
I like that, actually.
Right, yeah. And that's kind of what I mean, he's stepping into a team that he knows there's a huge amount of pressure to fucking win.
Yeah.
Because he's just stacked on talent. Nobody really knows what's going to happen with Durant next year. And so...
Or Westbrook next year
Westbrook.
going forward, yeah.
And so I think he wasn't that worried. And like I said, take it with a grain of, just a little bit of me not, being hopeful.
We take everything you say with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
So.
I think he knew that he was going to make it through the season and into the postseason. So he wasn't that worried about that.
Yeah, so, barring injuries and things like that. Yeah, we're making it.
And so I kind of like to think that he was doing a lot of this stuff just to poke and prod and see where the team did well, where the team did poorly, and get a better understanding for what exactly he has to work with. Because I mean, from I think the current lineup that's being talked about and contemplated going into the postseason, there's going to be less overlap between Durant and Westbrook. That's one of the things that's being talked about.
With it, like, staggering them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so where, you'll have a dominant scorer out on the court more often, just so you're not taking them both out at the same time,
Yeah.
Which, real quick, did you see, speaking of how we're not going to talk about the last game, did you see the last game the Thunder played? And who
was it with Portland?
And they gave one guy a marked increase in minutes. They gave him 35 minutes. Enes Kanter. 30 minutes, 35 points, 20 rebounds.
Yeah.
Just saying, that beast is sitting on your fucking bench.
Dude, he's got to be the sixth man of the year.
Yeah. So anyway,
if he doesn't, I'll be shocked.
And also, I think maybe, like, you're talking about Donovan, I think it doesn't help, like, whenever, I don't want to say an uninformed perspective, but whenever you have, like, the Thunder are third in the West and people are thinking Thunder should be first in the West. Well, the Warriors and the Spurs are on, like, these historic runs.
Yeah.
It doesn't help any that sort of like, oh, well, how the fuck are the Thunder only third? They're only third place in the West. Well, yeah, but the Warriors may fucking set the all-time mark for most wins in a season, and the Spurs ain't fucking far behind. They're like 4 games behind.
Yeah.
3. Actually, I think it's 3 now.
Yeah.
But I think the Warriors just have to win one more game and they clinch top seed. So,
okay.
Anyway. But yeah, I'm sorry. So continue. I didn't mean to get you off topic there.
I don't like the idea of prejudging him going into the postseason, because if he has been this whole season finding the strengths and weaknesses, tweaking and seeing what he can do and what he can't do, and you go into the playoffs, and if he has a very clear, cogent approach based on what he's been doing all season, then I think you can basically say he's crazy like a fox, I mean, this guy, he's been being really methodical with his team and seeing what he can get out of them. And, if no matter what happens, if he has an injury that comes up, well, he's played through that scenario before now, and he knows exactly how he can tweak the team to get the most out of it, and what he can't do, So I that's, again, me being hopeful. I hope that's what he has been doing this whole time.
It's yet
but
to
if he
play
just
out.
goes into the playoffs and keeps doing random shit and, for no reason,
I mean,
we're
and
on
being
a
like a
run,
rookie
timeout,
coach, yeah.
timeout, then,
Yeah.
well, then we got a problem.
We are the team with the most fourth quarter losses, I think, in the league. Or I don't know if that's the correct way of putting it. Like, we blow the most fourth quarter leads.
Which is funny because that's kind of a turnaround, if I'm not mistaken, from the way that it was when Brooks was here.
Like,
We
we
would have
blow a
the-
lot of the first quarter.
Yeah, we would go on more, I think, fourth quarter runs than almost any other team.
Yeah.
We were like famous for the slow start and the just furious finish.
Yeah.
And a lot. I mean, that's basically Russell Westbrook. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's
But
Russell Westbrook.
he's shooting
and then
abysmally
That's Russell.
this season.
That's Russell Westbrook, and then like KD all of a sudden just like pulling nothing but daggers out of his pocket. So,
And that's what I'm saying. I can't really blame a lot of that on Billy Donovan per se, just especially because we've talked about this before. You look at the main games, they go and play like Golden State or something, and it's like, hey, we'll have this huge lead, and then all of a sudden we start this, I got this type of shit, and they just start going up and like, hey, three, miss, transition basket, fuck, we lost.
And I think we kind of talked about this before. Of all the teams that the Warriors have suffered a couple of losses to, like, inexplicable losses where you're like, really, that's who the Warriors lost to, like Minnesota. Not that Minnesota's they got a lot of young talent, but maybe one of the best teams ever loses to that team, and you're like, what the hell? But if you look at the course of the season, the teams that have really given them the best fight are the Thunder and the Spurs.
Yeah,
So-
Celtics.
Yeah, well, yeah. And us at full strength and the Warriors at full strength, I mean, the last two games we played, we were beating the shit out of them one game and fucking lost. And we were kind of on, like, this sort of 10 to 15 point deficit most of the game and made this big comeback and almost pulled it out at the end and lost.
Yeah.
And so you're kind of like, man, I'm not saying that means in a 7-game series we're going to beat them, but I think it does mean we can compete with them.
Yeah, that's never been a question, I don't think.
I want to see him in a series. That's the thing.
Yeah,
I
sure,
I
yeah.
want to see him in a series. I
And
want
Billy
to see
Donovan?
how quickly he can make adjustments. I mean, Brooks was notorious for, at the end of a game in a series, well, we're going to have to go back and look at the tape and see what we need to adjust. Motherfucker, you are getting paid a lot of money. You should know what you need to adjust in the middle of the damn game. It should be damn apparent to you. It's apparent to all the fucking analysts that are sitting there watching the game. How are you not? How are you the only one that didn't know what adjustments needed to be made? So,
And that's ultimately, I think, what got him fired to a certain extent. Like, we were talking about, like, painting things in a certain light here in Oklahoma. He got fired, and then I think a couple months ago he did an interview, and I don't remember who it was with, but it was like the first time he speaks.
really, I didn't hear about this.
Oh, yeah. And, of course, everyone here blew it up for Scott Brooks. Scott Brooks speaks for the first time.
Hey, and ask him. I'm curious do you think, without knowing, since you don't know about this interview,
Yeah.
if I asked you right now, did Scott Brooks have any inkling that he was going to be fired, your answer would be
Yes.
Okay, hold on.
But his answer to that question would be no.
Oh, yeah, and that's
well,
this plays into my point a little bit.
But did he know? Yes, he knew.
That didn't come up in this interview. This was just like it was
you're talking
it was an interview. Everyone around here locally, hey, Scott Brooks speaks for the first time. Check it out. Scott Brooks talks. Since being fired, and totally understandable. The interview was pretty generic. Didn't even get into that. Whatever. Then he has another one. This is last month, and he actually talks a little bit about that stuff. You know what got covered about it here?
yeah, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And he was actually saying kind of what you're talking. You're asking Steve about. He was like, I was actually surprised I got fired, and he made the case like, there's just been injuries the past few years.
Sure. It was basically all the stuff that his supporters were saying.
Yeah, of course.
He had a great season, and, he's had, he's made it to the playoffs every season, and, literally any three of us could go and fucking coach. The Thunder...
I like your Scott Brooks fan voice.
Well,
can you do that the rest of the time?
Well, no. Well, it's just because I know the Scott Brooks fan. Okay. I've met him before. so I mean, yeah.
Well, and I didn't hate Scott Brooks or anything. I thought it's just I think they needed to move on from him. And you said this as well. They picked the worst time to fire him.
And why is that? Because that's your opinion. You picked because some would honestly agree. Well, we need to have better. Like he only had a limit, I guess.
It's just the situation we're in now.
Yeah, exactly. If they were going to fire him, it would have been at the end of the 2013 season.
The year before?
Yeah, the year before, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
The reason that you don't do it after the 2012 playoffs is because you just made it to the fucking finals.
Yeah, you don't go, well, you know what? Fuck you, get out. Yeah.
Big changes.
Because you just went to the finals.
There's little tweaks that you probably need to do to win. But no, I mean, hey, Mark Cuban's guilty of that too. I mean, he just won, and then all of a sudden he just won a title. But at least he won.
At least he won a title, and then he blew it up.
But he just blew it up. I mean, I think he kind of regrets that too.
Yeah.
But
he's almost slowly been reassembling that.
Yeah, exactly.
Was Tyson Chandler still even
there?
there?
No, he's on the Suns.
He's gone now. Okay, but he brought it back for a minute.
He got that little troll JJ Barea back.
Who's been on fire lately.
Yes, he has, that son of a bitch. I hate that guy.
I know.
You can't complain. You did win for the second year in a row our fantasy basketball title, so...
Yeah, of course I did.
Yeah, of course you did. Hey, wait. How'd you do in the football fantasy? What happened there?
I was rebuilding this year.
You rebuilding? So somebody else won. Then who would have won that?
I think it was you.
Oh, it was me. Okay, I wasn't sure. I kind of forgot. Okay.
The problem was I'd won so many championships the year before. I had to
see if the grid is looking for any new leadership.
I'm a roustabout. Fuck off.
So yeah, I don't think you want to make any huge changes after the 2012 finals.
Yeah, of course not. Yeah,
but they did. Stupidly, in my opinion. But
tell us, Bill Simmons.
I don't.
No, go ahead, talk. Because that's kind of what I want to talk about. Like, because this is big picture type of shit. Like with, it's going back and rehashing some stuff that everyone would be like, oh God, don't bring that up again. But it's a big deal going forward, and that doesn't matter the other way whether we lose Durant or Westbrook.
Yeah.
It kind of matters. Like maybe that plays into it a little bit. I don't know.
Well, I think the starting point for me is I don't treat the Thunder like a religion. I mean, my mantra is not in Presti we trust. Okay.
Yeah.
It's trust but verify.
Trust but verify.
I mean, look, he made some good moves, but he's also made some really shitty ones.
You're talking about letting Daquan go, right?
Yeah, I mean, where's our 3-point specialist?
Oh man.
Well, we've talked about that before. Like, is that the limitations of the owner on him, or is it?
I don't think so.
Why not? Like because you think he could go out and spend a bunch of money over the the tax limit or whatever?
Let's talk about the Harden deal just real quick, and we don't have to spend a lot of time.
Talk about it. No, talk about it. It's cool.
I don't think that we needed to keep him. I don't think we needed to keep him, but we didn't need to trade him then. We had another year.
Yeah.
We had another year after we had just made it to the finals.
You could have just let that last year play out. He hits free agency. Maybe you re-sign him. Maybe you don't.
Or you re-sign him and then you trade him. And someone will want him. Because...
Well, I mean, he doesn't have to... I mean...
Yeah, I understand that it can create some value issues.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day... Or, you know what? You still have a trade deadline of what? When's the trade dedeadline for the next year? Is it
February.
Yeah. Play him throughout the season. See how things are going.
Then trade him.
Or not,
Yeah, we tried to sign him like right before the season started. It didn't happen.
And he was shipped off.
Yeah.
It just baffles me. I don't get it. But anyway, that's my first problem. And then, going back a little bit before that even, this is when I started questioning Scott Brooks in general. I was just like, oh my God, this is horrible. You're in the 2012 finals, and Kendrick Perkins and Derek Fisher are getting starter minutes. And Kendrick Perkins was obviously a starter at that time for reasons that boggle the mind, but they're getting starter minutes over James Harden, who, without him, y'all wouldn't have gotten past San Antonio.
That's not saying starting, but starter minutes.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
There is a difference. And it just boggles my mind, man. So, yeah, that's when I think a lot of people started saying, oh, well, James Harden really just didn't show up in the finals.
That may be true.
Well, yes and no. I mean,
he kind of did disappear in the finals.
No,
he disappeared on some free throws.
Here's the thing.
But the whole game.
Guess what his role was in the finals? Can you remember what his job was?
Guarding LeBron.
Guarding LeBron fucking James.
Yeah.
You tell me that's not going to take it out of you. How could, I mean, you got what is it? A 3-inch height and a 35-pound differential there.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got your shooting guard guarding LeBron James all game.
LeBron James.
And you're expecting him to, and he's not what you would consider an elite defender at all.
Oh yeah, he's actually dogged on it a lot because he's lazy and
that's what he was. He was a spark to come off the bench and keep us scoring.
So who do you put on LeBron in the finals?
You put Thabo Cephalosha on him. This is the one time where Thabo Cephalosha should be getting a crazy amount of minutes, and that's what you put on him. That's what he's good at.
Did we do that?
No.
Yeah.
No. It was just horrible changes, horrible coaching. Anyway, I'm sitting there rambling at this point.
That's fine. Yeah,
that's what this podcast is all about.
That's right. Yeah, we're rambling.
But let's talk about where we're at though, because I'm kind of interested in that a little bit. I mean,
that's fine. Because I mean, it's something to be said. Like like you said, you get to the finals and you don't mess with that, and we did. And then
they could have been such tiny changes. Okay, guys, we need to work on our lineups. That's the kind of change, in my opinion, you make after you just made it to the finals and you were close. I mean, what did we take? We only took one game, I think, right?
Yeah, we've won one finals game.
We took the first game.
Yeah.
That's it.
Now, I think there was, I mean, God, it's going to sound like fucking Homer vision, but there was a lot of ref shit in that game with those games where I was like, what is, like...
I can't...
But again, I'm not saying that means Oklahoma City should have won all.
Yeah, sometimes that's basketball,
There
man.
was some stuff
the game's rigged,
like,
man.
I'm not even saying that, I'm just saying...
Except for Joey Crawford, because that guy is...
Yeah, that's Joey. Yeah, we all know Joey Crawford. Any NBA fan knows Joey Crawford.
Yeah. The guy who he's like, well, I couldn't play, but my jersey, I play for the ref team. So
yeah, no shit.
How many points do I get to score tonight? Let's see. Yeah, that guy.
But going back to what you said, there's something to be said about you have that formula, and then, like I said, you don't mess with it. And can this team? I think now and in the past couple years, I know we've had injuries and stuff, but like we probably could have contended at least for a finals. I mean, I'm not arguing that that's not the case, but could we have like done something better or bigger to like add on to this team? Like maybe getting not just another good, decent guy. Like, hey, we got a bench spot we need to fill, so let's go get Randy Foye because we need a better. We need more of a veteran point guard. Can we not go out and make a big trade and get like some other badass and have like a, I don't want to say big three because that's always the term that's thrown around.
I don't think we can. With what we signed Cantor to, and what we are going to end up having to sign Durant to. I mean, they're keeping that in mind with everything.
Well, that's kind of my point. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, you can go over the tax limit.
Oh yeah, you can,
and you can do it just for a year.
Yeah,
and then get rid of it.
But would this team do that though?
The big splash you were talking about.
I don't think this team would do that.
Instead of
I don't think they will.
Instead of getting Randall Foye, you said, why not go make Why not bust out the checkbook?
Go get Al Horford. I don't know who
Al
the
Horford.
player is, but say you go and get that type of whoever,
Yeah.
and
You just
They've shown an abject unwillingness to do that.
that's my point.
Is that
that's
on,
my point.
Is that on Presti or is that on ownership?
Or a little bit of both,
little
because
bit of
I know
both.
we're trying to have this culture where we draft and we develop, and it's always
I don't think
within.
I don't think anybody can know the answer to that until you sit in on the meetings.
Sure.
Oh,
But
of course not.
But
yeah.
now you tell me, if you're Sam Presti, if you're Sam Presti and you're in 2012 right after the finals, and the internal discussions that you guys are having are that there's no fucking way we're signing Harden after next year to any sort of max deal. You have a good impression that he's going to get a max offer, and he's going to take it because why wouldn't he?
Yeah.
So then you say, if you're Sam
Why don't we
Presti,
bust out the checkbook?
Why
for
don't
him?
or if ownership tells you we're not going to bust out the checkbook for him, we're gonna keep him for this next year, or we keep him for this next year, or you trade him. If you're Sam Presti, do you say my best chance to get the most for him is right now? And so I pull the trigger. Do you or don't you do that? If you know that ownership is not,
Because it kind of seems like that's what they did. Maybe.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't know that. Obviously, like you said, we'll never know until we actually sit in on the meetings. But if Sam Presti knew that, did he do the right thing, knowing that if in fact they weren't going to even give him we're not going to offer him max money. We're not going to do it.
But why not?
Because
that's my whole point.
Said,
would you rather be cheap, or would you rather go try and win a championship?
I think they want
because
you're
right there.
They seem to want to do both.
I mean, we're getting the luxury of being able to Monday morning quarterback this.
Well, sure.
You know what the logic was at the time.
Yeah,
We've got Russell Westbrook, and we've got Kevin Durant, we got Serge Ibaka.
We're fine.
We're gonna get a couple shooters out of this
Yeah,
deal.
yeah, good bench.
We're going to get draft picks. We're going to get draft picks.
And we're going to get draft pick. Well, yeah, but at the time it was we got Jeremy Lamb, who shows a lot of promise, and we got Kevin Martin, who's a spot-up shooter.
We got prospects.
And we got some draft. We got
one draft pick turned into Adams,
which was great.
And amazing.
But would you agree that we traded him high? We traded him at a high point in his value.
Yes, but I would say, looking at what the league can get now for that type of value, we didn't get that much back, honestly. I mean,
because we got Steven Adams.
Yeah, I like Steven Adams and everything.
Well, at the end of the day,
but James Harden for Steven Adams. Yeah. I mean, damn, when you look at a trade where LeBron goes back to Cleveland, they trade Andrew Wiggins and they get Kevin Love, I think a draft pick. And
but also getting Steven Adams.
Look at what Minnesota got. They got, I know Anthony Bennett was nothing, but they got 2 number 1 picks and I think a draft pick for Kevin Love. We got Jeremy Lamb and the future Steven Adams.
And but you got, but if you're going to go that far into, you also have to say, and we also were able to get rid of Perkins then, because now we have Steven Adams. So
but we could go and we could have
gone anyway.
Yeah, we could, and plus we could have went and got out and got any other free
gone.
agent.
So who
center.
replaces him then?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
You say
bowling
that.
ball.
No,
That's how you. Zaza Pachulia.
No, but that's
I don't give a fuck.
That's how you feel about it. We played the fuck out of Perkins whenever the whole time you're going.
That's
this guy
on
shouldn't
Brooks.
be on a. It's not just on Brooks at that point.
That's on Brooks for
we re-signed Perkins.
Perkins, the reason, in my opinion, the reason Brooks liked Perkins so much was because he was the veteran.
He was a locker room guy.
And he was the locker room guy.
But he was also a fucking starter. And he ended up with the ball in his hands in way too many fucking critical situations.
Well, no, he ended up with not...
Or trying to pass or get the ball in his
exactly.
That's what I'm saying. Some part of the offense was predicated on him for some reason.
I know.
But anyway. So, all right.
So
But I guess being more relevant now to the time, we've kind of asked this, with Billy Donovan. I'm like, do you honestly think we should be it's championship or bust with a rookie head coach?
I don't think you can.
I don't think. I don't think so either.
Well,
I don't.
If you were going to be it's championship or bust, then why the fuck did you hire a rookie?
Yeah.
Exactly,
Yeah,
which
exactly.
is- yeah.
I mean, I would totally understand you saying that it's championship or bust in regards to, hey, we need to keep Kevin Durant
Yeah.
and that whole thing.
Yeah, we backed up the Brinks truck. We got Phil Jackson down here.
Oh, of course.
You better get a
goddamn
trophy.
ring, yeah.
And the
Yeah.
championship or bust rhetoric, I never heard from the Thunder. I always heard from
it's
pundits
fans.
and
Yeah.
But
you
that's
know,
why,
so-
well, I mean, you hear it from fans too, but I mean, that's why I can't buy it because he's a rookie head fucking coach. I mean,
Yeah, we need to see how he does in the postseason. We
Yeah,
need to
that
see how
he's
he
never
does
been
a
in.
series.
yeah.
So I don't know.
And you got to think Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant are on board with that. You got to think that this whole conversation took place with them.
we hope so.
That's what I'm
Yeah,
saying.
we better fucking hope so,
And we
yeah.
talked about this last episode. You have to think that they knew Scott Brooks was being fired before he did, and they knew that they vetted Billy Donovan. They were like-
okay. I see what you mean. I
They were
misunderstood what you
consulted. They were consulted. It wasn't just like we pulled these triggers and Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook.
I would be surprised if they were consulted.
Oh, God,
on
dude.
Scott Brooks' firing.
They had to be. They fucking had to be. They had, dude. These guys are 1 and 2 years away from being possibly gone from your team. Two of the best players on the planet. You don't talk to them before you fire their father, this father figure they've talked about and stuff before. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if all that shit's true, like they had this great relationship with them.
It was really, he was more of like a little brother that was, just kind of.
You tell me, would you consult him?
It depends.
Do you want to keep him?
Well, I don't know that that's I don't know that that's necessary to keep them, to consult them on that. It just kind of depends. I think if you
It
did
really
if
does.
you-
You'd be surprised what
They consult Kobe.
some
They consult
franchises.
LeBron.
but also,
do.
but has Kobe established in that dialogue that if you're going to do something, you better consult with me? Which I wouldn't be surprised if Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook have not done that approach. That if you're going to make a change, you better consult with me. Now I could see them.
Well, I'm not
but
saying like an
Kobe's-
ultimatum. I'm just saying
but
like
you-
I want to be involved in the basketball decisions.
But yeah, that's something Kobe has made clear. That's what I'm saying. I doubt that Kevin Durant or Russell Westbrook have made that clear. Like, you better consult with me before you make any decisions. Because you damn well know, Kobe, if someone did something, if someone farted in the locker room, he's like, "Did you clear that with me?"
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I think most professional sports, like, I think your marquee players are not. I'm not saying that they sit in on the board meetings,
I understand.
but I think like the Patriots. If they were gonna fire Bill Belichick, I think they go and talk to Tom Brady first. So like, hey Tom, you're probably gonna play for 1 or 2 more years. If we fire Belichick, what are you gonna do? He's like, well, I'm fucking done if you guys fire Bill. Oh, well then we'll keep him, so we keep you for 2 more years. Okay, cool, thanks. That's all we needed to hear from you.
I mean,
Hey, KD,
it's kind of
if
like
we
it
fire Scott
depends.
Brooks, what are you
It
gonna
really
do?
does.
exactly. It just depends. It depends
It
on
really
the dynamic.
depends because
I would just.
I'm serious, dude. Some people are like, you'd be surprised. Some teams are like, hey, we might consult you, and you might disagree, but guess what?
We're
We're
gonna do
doing
it
it
anyway.
anyway. Yeah, that's because it's whose decision is it ultimately? Not yours.
I mean, I would agree if I'm with you, and I would totally understand that if KD and Westbrook, this was year 2, year 3, these guys are those 2 guys are if there's 3, 4 faces of the
I don't know,
NBA,
man.
they're 2 of them.
The tight-lipped kind of culture that they have gone through great lengths to establish over there. With that in mind, I wouldn't be surprised if they didn't consult them.
yeah, I wouldn't either.
I think KD
honestly.
and Westbrook are part of that, though.
I don't think they're complicit in it. They're complicit in basically Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah.
They've just been.
I mean, I think that's selling them a bit short. Like, they don't enjoy that we have this. I am able to enjoy this sort of pseudo anonymity.
I take that back. I could see Russell Westbrook really buying into it and being like, "Yeah."
Well, talking about
the press.
them leaving. I mean, does that cheapness play into them leaving? I mean, regardless of whether or not.
How do you mean?
Well, like, hey, we don't want to overspend or throw out the checkbook or maybe go and trade for another big player.
Yeah, and if LA or New York comes calling,
I know it, and I know that also kind of depends on how well we do in the playoffs. Because if we go like, oh, first round exit, shit, it doesn't really matter whether they were cheap or not. It's just it is what it is. But say we get kind of decently far and they leave anyway. then I mean, I would honestly say that might be a factor. I mean, just us getting that, and who's to say they might stay? I don't know.
They'll.
Because
Shit, I don't know, man.
well, I mean, what are your criticisms with Sam Presti? Because you said like he's got the benefit of the doubt because he's drafted well.
Well, sometimes he has.
Yeah.
He drafted well with Steven Adams.
Yeah, he did.
He drafted well with Kevin Durant. He drafted well with James Harden.
Westbrook.
And he drafted well with Westbrook.
So far, he's batting 1,000.
Well,
Where did he go wrong?
All his other drafts. far,
like which ones though? Like, I mean, he got Perry Jones, but that was like a low 20s pick. Cameron Payne was, I think, pretty high. I think he was up. I actually
our first pick this last year.
Yeah. I actually thought he was towards the end of the draft, but I forgot we were out of the playoffs last year, so we got a higher pick.
Yeah. Mitch McGary.
I'll reserve. That's what I was going to say. I'll reserve judgment on Mitch McGary.
Yeah, but that's the thing. He's a big. Who's he going to play over right now? You know what I mean?
Nobody. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, we got Steven Adams.
I mean, I know a lot of fans will be wondering why he's not playing.
Also makes you wonder why do we have that many if we're not going to play him?
Well, we got him before we got Enes Kanter, so
yeah.
Now
and we've got the other guards and stuff on the back burner too.
Into a trade? I don't know. Somebody might be looking at him and be like, "Hey, that's a prospect." If prospects mean anything in the NBA,
I think he shows a lot of promise, but Mitch
McGary?
Mitch McGary.
Yeah. He's valuable right now because he's cheap and he's on a rookie deal. That's his biggest asset right now, regardless how well he plays.
Yeah,
and his upside added along with that.
I don't even know. Is he on the squad, or is he on the practice?
I think he's mainly on the D League. I think he's been activated a time or two, but I mean, like last night, or was this last night, or maybe it was the night before last? We played Portland and we rested almost everybody, so a lot of the bench people came up, and we played Josh Hustis, and he played a good game. So God, should he be starting? That's just how people fucking react. But
my gripes are more his trades, but that's fine.
Okay, I mean that's.
I mean, you can kind of nitpick, I guess.
He's made some good trades. He's made what you can like the Harden trade. You're not cool with.
Well, no, I mean I'm trying to think of some good trades. I don't like his trades.
The Kanter trade was a good pickup.
I guess we traded Perkins.
Yeah,
to get him.
We got rid of Perkins.
And what else?
We got rid of. We ended up clearing. Excuse me. We ended up clearing like $8 million Or no, we just
Oh, we gave them Perkins and we gave a draft pick to Cleveland and we got Dion Waiters.
Yeah, we got Waiters. Yeah. We cleared $8 million by getting rid of when we got Foy.
And we sent DJ Augustin?
Yeah, to
Augustine, whatever the fuck his name is.
Where did we send him to?
Which I liked him. I thought.
Yeah, I did too, but I mean, guess it didn't work out. I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, he was getting outplayed by Cameron Payne, but everyone then took to Cameron Payne like, oh god, he should be playing all the time. And same thing with Billy Donovan. He's a rookie, and guess what? When he would go 1-on-1 with when we were playing Golden State, he just got manhandled. And then everyone's wondering like, why isn't he playing a lot?
Well, he's a fucking rookie.
Well, he's a fucking rookie, and he's got a lot to learn still. That's why. Not that he can't contribute, and he can play a role, but I'm like, dude, NBA is about playoffs, man, and you don't have any playoff experience.
Which we did exactly.
Those
what
lights
you said
get to
we
you.
were gonna do. We went and got a veteran guard.
Yeah, and he's kind of playing more, Cameron Payne, than he was when we first traded for Foy. But I'm not gonna be shocked when he's not playing a lot.
No.
Yeah, but people here will be like, "What's going on? We need to play him. Foy's not a point guard." Well, how the fuck do you know? I mean, he's technically the backup point guard. Maybe he's not, like we've said, the primary ball handler. That can make a difference sometimes.
Yeah,
like Harden wasn't a point guard, but he was the primary ball handler off the bench.
Well, yeah, and let's not use
and that got the whole he needs to play point guard. Well, who gives a shit what his title is?
Yeah, let's not use him like we used Derek Fisher.
Yeah.
I don't want the the veteran who's what was he 41 now? What was he at the time? 39-year-old.
Yeah.
39-year-old veteran.
Number 6.
Yeah, taking all these outside shots all day long.
He played some good basketball.
He did play some good basketball. He also played some really bad basketball.
Yeah,
that's fair. But I think
offensively that was his role, and he kind of filled it. But
we had plenty of talent that we could have played in his stead.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just that's a playmaking issue, also in my opinion. So it goes to Scott a little bit. One thing I was noticing though, went back and watched some highlight reels, and
Watching some tape.
watched some tape. Something I was noticing about Steven Adams, where I think he really shines, is, I mean, on the offensive end, creating space. Nothing that will ever show up in his stat line.
Yeah.
Just his ability to create space, for some reason, on the offensive board, allows a lot of...
Westbrook flying in there more like he does.
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
Yeah.
It was crazy. I don't know why I hadn't noticed it as much before until I started watching just...
And some of that's, Westbrook, too, because he's just that type of player.
It was just West, but it really...
He leads the
Westbrook.
team in rebounds.
It's really anybody. I mean, he just creates a lot of space just under there, which allows for a lot of spot-up shooting, too. I mean, the flying in, too, yeah, that's true, but it allows for a lot of spot-up shooting, and I was kind of surprised.
I mean, that's great for someone like Durant,
Yeah. Because all of a sudden, you've got this huge body down there on the offensive board, and everybody's like, well, shit, he'll draw a couple guys pretty much every time he's going up underneath the basket, because they know, I mean, if he gets the ball, he just, boop,
Yeah.
it's going in.
Yeah.
I mean, just generally speaking, because he can literally just reach up and
just touch it up there.
just
He's
touch
so
it
damn
up
tall.
there.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so he draws a lot on the offensive end. So
I just think it's something to watch, like with us being a cheap team. I like trying to be the Spurs. I totally get teams wanting to be like that.
you got to buy into the culture, though.
Oh yeah, you're exactly right. That's exactly right.
And they wanted Manu Ginobili and James Harden. That's what they wanted, Manu Ginobili.
Yeah.
And he wasn't. He was like,
shit, no.
I'm doing I'm doing maybe a little better than Manu did.
Yeah, I'd say so. I think my ceiling's a little higher too than Manu Ginobili.
I mean, hey, not to take anything away from Manu, because he's amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah.
He's been amazing for pretty much ever. But I think Harden's ceiling is a little higher. I think he
Right
can
now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at the time,
this point
too.
in their careers, yeah.
Well, no. I mean, even apples
just
to
as a
apples.
player.
Yeah, apples to apples. At the time,
No, that's fair. Yeah.
I think that he had a higher ceiling, and he could command more money. And
One. I mean,
I don't know,
you're right.
I didn't come into intending to talk about Harden, to be perfectly honest.
No, that's fine. But I mean, I think it plays into a lot of like us going forward, whether we lose Durant and Westbrook or not.
Just real quick.
Are we gonna ride with like being a cheap team the whole way out and just being good enough? What if we never? What if we're like, especially with talking about the Warriors and the Spurs and maybe another great team pops up?
Well, I think you've got.
Do we ever get over the goddamn top? I mean, are we gonna be that team that like we look back at this whole era and go, hey, we got that one finals win?
I think you've got an ownership group that didn't get into this because they love basketball.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They got into it because they saw a profit.
Oh yeah,
and they're going to try to
of course,
maximize it.
I'm not saying no
You don't
owners
have
like
to.
that, but no, yeah, but that's what a lot of the owners are looking for in any professional sport. They're not looking always to win
It is a
championships.
business.
Yeah, it's a business.
You were going to ask me a question.
Just real quick, I just gun to your head. Westbrook or Durant, does he stay?
How long do I have until you pull the trigger?
I'm about to pull it.
Oof. It depends, man.
You're dead. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, do you think he'll stay?
Honestly, it depends.
I mean, we win a finals. No, he's not going
He's
anywhere.
not going anywhere. If
Yeah.
we do a first round
Duh.
exit, then
Yeah.
I'd say you flip a coin.
Okay.
Yeah,
at
I think
worst,
that's
you say
fair.
At worst, you say it's 50-50.
At worst, it's 50-50.
All right, now what about the next year, Westbrook? If Durant stays, does Westbrook stay?
I think so.
What if Durant leaves?
Oh, he's fucking gone.
Think so? You don't
Yeah.
think you'd want the team just built around him entirely, or
No, dude.
no? Okay.
I mean,
I can, I don't know.
I mean, who's the supporting cast? If you're a player like that, and I mean, it also depends on the other teams in the league too, because if there's a place for him to go, why wouldn't you? Why would you be like, hey, I'll stay here and
Yeah, and that's the question. I think
have
is,
be built
is-
around,
is-
or I can go here and immediately be one a main part of the guy, and two, we're winning all the
Well,
time.
let's have some fun with it for a second. Let's say Durant does go somewhere. Where does he go?
I know a lot of people are saying Golden State, possibly.
Yeah, that's
They're going to have some problems, though, here in a second, because they've got to re-sign a lot of people.
and we would be
They're
getting
probably
some of those
letting
players
Klay
basically.
Thompson go.
We
Brandon
would then be
Durant.
getting Klay Thompson.
Yeah.
And
And then you have Steph Curry and Kevin.
honestly,
Durant.
Celtics. I would say the Celtics.
You think the Celtics? Really? Man, that would be... The Celtics...
I mean, he's not going to the Cavs.
No, I don't think so.
That's
either.
not happening.
I don't
He's not
think
going to the Raptors.
Wizards.
A lot of
I always
people will
talk about
say,
the
well, the
Wizards.
Wizards. That
I don't think
dude,
that's-
that's
no.
not fucking happening.
You have
either.
to always... New York and L.A. I think L.A. was going to come after Westbrook hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they're going to come after both hard.
I
but-
think
I think
LA
Westbrook's-
is going to come after Durant hard.
I think.
Oh,
Westbrook,
yeah.
I think Westbrook's the one they want the most. Well, I don't know if it's the one they want the most. I think it's the one I think that
Shit,
they
they'll
have
take
the,
both.
I think it's the one they have the best chance to get because that's where Westbrook's from, and
Yeah.
Westbrook attends UCLA games. He goes out there a lot, like to LA. Like
Yeah.
that's. I don't know. I think that's a distinct.
I mean, here's the
possibility.
thing: we because of that culture that they have, that the Thunder's cultivated of being tight-lipped, nothing but canned responses, closed off to the media, closed off to anything that resembles any kind of a negative comment coming from anybody on the team. You don't have any kind of insight into the players' interactions or who, what they're thinking, how they interact with one another, how they get along,
Sure.
who they are past what the canned responses are. So it makes it a lot more impossible to gauge. I mean, you take someone like fucking Meta World Peace, who basically wants to give a press conference because he found a bag of peanuts in his car, and he wants to talk about how it makes him feel. Well, I mean, as strange as it is, at least
You know who he is.
exactly.
He's that kind of guy.
Yeah, and so it makes it a little bit easier to have discussions like this about that. So.
Hey,
Well-
sounds like one of our episodes, man.
Well, one of the reasons. Well, but you could also say because they're so tight-lipped, it lends itself to us sitting here like run wild with it. Let your imagination run wild.
Or
you
like I said, maybe they stay because of that. They've got everything they want. They don't have to answer to anybody. They're somewhat anonymous here in a smaller market. They still get the being famous part of it too because they are who they are.
Yeah, they're
just write it out.
Here. They are.
How much do you think Durant is giving up in
Marketing?
endorsements?
Not much.
Being here.
Not much.
I don't think so either.
He's the face.
Because I've heard people say, well, he's giving up a lot of endorsements, and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't know how.
The only thing he's giving up is local endorsements. Then it would be something that's
Yeah, you're right.
Like if he was in New York, it would be something specific to New York City.
And could he make more money that way? Yeah, I
he
guess
probably
sure.
could, but comparatively speaking, Nike is still going to sign him to huge contracts. He's still going to get the same offers from national companies.
Yeah.
He's still going to get those same offers.
I mean, that's what he said in the Blue Burger interview. Is like, well, he's like, with the way it is nowadays, social media and
media
stuff.
and all that,
He's
yeah.
like, it's not as hard to be as marketable than it used to be. Like if you're playing in like, oh, I'm in Memphis and it's the '90s.
So I haven't seen any Westbrook Subway commercials or anything lately.
Is he leaving?
Whose decision was it? Was it Westbrook's? Was he like, I better distance myself
I'm
from
gonna guess
this?
it was Westbrook because you would think Subway with everything that's going on with that shit, they'd be like, please do more Subway commercials.
He's like,
I'm gonna go do this U.S. Cellular commercial now or whatever he's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think Russell Westbrook was able to that quickly pivot from one national company to another. I don't think him being in Oklahoma City affected that at all.
Oh, here's a question for you, Steve.
Yeah.
If you've got like Drew says, gun to your head, you got to pick between one of them, Westbrook or Durant.
Oh, I know who I picked.
I know that, but that's why I'm
Fucking
asking
heartbeat.
Steve.
Yeah, I know. Shit, man. As I like a lot of what Westbrook brings, so I know Drew would want to pick Westbrook,
Yep.
but I think
Pull this fucking trigger, dude.
I think it's easier to build a team around Durant. That would be the reason I kept him. I'd keep Durant because it's easier to build a team around that.
I can see that. You're probably
necessarily
right.
argue with that,
Yeah, I
so.
can't either. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
I mean, you're wrong.
Yeah. Now, if you're talking about like I get to bring one of them on the court,
Yeah, how about
go
this?
nuts,
One
then
on
I'd
one.
take Westbrook.
1-on-1. Westbrook or Durant? Who do you
I'd
pick?
take Westbrook.
Yeah, you take Westbrook. That's why. God damn, it's such a hard question sometimes.
Yeah, but
I think some people are probably like, "Are you crazy? You'd have to pick Durant or vice versa."
From a like ownership perspective, I would take Durant just because I think his skill set is a lot easier to build a team around.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I think it would be. I'm not saying it's easy to build. I think it would be fairly easy to build a team around Westbrook. Personally, Westbrook.
He would keep eating people's heads off.
That's your fucking team then.
Well, no, I'm saying like your teammates. Like he would just eats everybody's heads. He's a beast, man.
He is. I agree. Well, I say Westbrook. I think Westbrook.
It's fair. I mean, it's not like an easy. It's not like I'm saying, oh well, fuck Westbrook. No, I mean he's awesome. I've over the years I've gotten to like his play a lot more. You know, at first I was kind of the opinion, you know, that man, I wish he would just pass the fucking ball occasionally. Damn,
leads the league in assists.
Stop doing the pull up fucking jumpers. Come on, man, get it to Durant. What are you doing? And then, you know, I kind of got won over. I was like, well, I don't know. I kind of like him attacking the rim like he does. Especially since we don't have fucking Harden now. We need someone that's offensively minded.
I'm gonna say this. I say once the playoffs start, I think you're gonna. I mean, it would after this last game, Enes Kanter has to get more minutes. I would just assume Enes Kanter is going to see an increase.
They do have good lineups when they put him with Steven Adams or sometimes Ibaka. It kind of depends. Everyone's down on Ibaka, and he has slipped a lot this year. But
honestly, I'm telling you, I think we got Enes Kanter for a steal. Because I'm just saying, because I'll say this: if his defense develops even a little bit,
what are we paying him?
$70 million.
Yep, and I think
we got him for a steal, but then we signed him to a huge amount. But at the same time, the tax structure and the cap is going up, so it's not as bad. Hey, kudos to the Trailblazers, because just in the 5 or 6 plus years I've really followed the NBA, they're the only team. There might be another one or two where they've given a poison pill to somebody and be like, "Hey, we're gonna sign you." You know, it's a restricted free agent. They're that asshole team who comes in and be like, "Hey, guess what? We're gonna fucking sign with this huge contract. Either you do it or we take him." And the team's got to make a decision.
What are we talking about exactly?
Well, like when a player's a restricted free agent.
I mean, which specifically with Portland?
Well, they signed him to that huge contract, which forced us to make him sign it. We had to, if we wanted to keep him, we had to sign that huge contract. We decided, fuck, we want to keep him.
Oh, see, I didn't realize that Portland had signed him to that contract, and we took it.
Because he was a restricted free agent.
Are you talking about Kanter?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we had to sign him. Like, we would not have given him that much money if we were just doing the negotiations ourselves.
Huh.
So that's why everyone jumped on it like, oh, God, you decided to go ahead and
Okay.
you know.
I'm just, like, I guess my point is, when's his deal up?
Well, it's a new deal, so 4 years.
So I think when that deal is up, I think everybody's going to be after him, dude.
Well, that's what I'm saying, too. Like, you've got
the
cap jumping a lot.
20%
just in like maybe the next year alone. It might not be so bad. I mean, it's not great now, but it might not be as bad in the year, like 2 years from now. You look back on it and you go,
I think he's a great player.
Yeah, and you add that on top of it. Fuck, who cares?
He may be the best offensive big man in the league.
I think the only time I've ever seen a team do that is when Jeremy Lin had his great 2 weeks on the Knicks, and he was needing to be re-signed, and Houston was like, "Hey, we're going to give him a $25 million contract."
Well, that's pretty much Houston's MO, is just to throw money at
him. Yeah, and guess what the Knicks did? They're like, well, see you off to Houston, Jeremy Lin. They didn't take it.
Well, it's not like
the only time I've seen it before that was Roy Hibbert was up, and guess what? The Trailblazers did the same thing to Roy Hibbert.
Well, it's not like the Knicks have any kind of vantage point to look down at the Rockets. Yeah. Fucking idiots. As they're high-fiving Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah. He's not even on that team either.
Yeah, I know.
God.
Well, I mean, for how long was that the worst contract in the league?
For a while,
Ever since its inception till it's
exactly.
Didn't it just terminate last year?
I think so because he's on the Heat now. I think.
Yeah, so I think it was like a 5-year, $120 million.
It's something fucking ridiculous,
stupid.
And he was already washed up.
Yeah,
and then they just threw draft pick, hey, let's throw a first rounder to get Andrea Bargnani, who's really turned out well. And he did. I think he played less than Stoudemire did. Anyway, the Knicks blow. I don't know what else to say about the fucking Knicks. That would be hey, Durant wants to go there. I don't know.
He's not going to the Knicks.
He's not going to the Knicks.
No, he doesn't want to.
I could say when you talk about big markets, New York.
Yeah.
I could see him wanting to go play with specific players. That would be more something I could see him thinking, man, if I go play with this person, we could.
That's the only reason why I said Celtics, not mainly because of a player, because they've got a couple players, but they're in a position to get one of those guys. They could go get one of those players. He would be hey, you know what? Yeah, I'll team up with him. And they've got a decent cast and culture and whatever, blah, blah. There's the Celtics.
So, now that you say that, I could see the Warriors being a really good spot for him. I could see him wanting to go play with Steph Curry.
Yeah.
But, he goes and fucking trains every summer with LeBron James.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if those two are, formulating a plan right now to try to get that.
LeBron James was that interview where he talked about playing with all his friends, like a Carmelo and a couple of other guys.
That's somebody I could see going to play.
Carmelo doesn't have friends.
Yeah, no, he doesn't.
Him and LeBron James are really fucking good friends. Apparently.
I could see Carmelo going to the Cavs. He's fuck it, fuck the Knicks. He goes to play with the Cavs.
Deals up whenever that is, yeah.
Anyway, I think we've rambled on enough about the Thunder for a while.
We've got a really good team, and we've got a rookie coach.
Yeah,
and it could this whole season he could have been doing basically the extended medical check on the team to see where he could push them and where what their strengths and what their weaknesses are. Yeah. I could see that being the case. We'll see what happens. If at the end of this, if we make it to the finals, then I will say, okay, you know what? I've got more trust restored back in Presti at this point.
Yeah,
I think I'll trust him a lot more. Now, if we don't make it, not even the finals. Hell, if we're not out in the second round, if we make it past the second round, I'll feel pretty decent.
Yeah, I would too, honestly, especially given some of our competition.
Yeah.
So I think people need to kind of take that into account. They just say, "Oh, second round exit, bummer." I'm like, yeah, but if we meet the Spurs or the Warriors and we lose to them, I'm not gonna be like, damn, we should have won that, hands down. And I'm like, yeah, you know what? Maybe it just wasn't our year.
How are the Spurs? What are they in the?
I don't fucking know, dude. They could put out the water boy, man, and they'd be like, "Hey, guess what? We won tonight."
Is the whole team on that fucking metformin? Have you heard about that?
No.
That diabetes drug that is basically
diabetes.
They're calling it the Highlander drug, where people
Highlander drug.
People are they're estimating people can live until 120 because of this thing. People with diabetes are living longer than people without diabetes that have been on this drug.
Wait, do we need to all go get diabetes?
Well, dude, think about this with the Spurs.
Still around.
They say that the mice that have been on this drug have had 40% increased lifespans.
Jesus.
What the fuck?
Well, go back. Think about the Spurs. They are also really they've got two really good young players.
Yeah.
That's what people are like. Oh, they're all old. Well, Kawhi Leonard's not old.
No.
LaMarcus Aldridge isn't old.
And
he's getting there.
I was gonna say he's not
young either,
now,
but he's not fucking Manu Ginobili or Timmy Duncan.
No.
Level. Plus, he's not fucking 40.
They're not shy at all. The Spurs are not shy about saying, "Fuck you, we're resting all these guys." They just played the Thunder.
Well, which hey, I
don't blame
to his credit, Billy Donovan rested him.
We did it too.
Yeah.
We did it too the
so,
other night.
Once he did that, I was like, you know what? I can get a little on board with this guy. I like.
You want to be like, oh, I brought my son tonight to bring Kevin Durant.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
Well,
guess
maybe
what?
you should have thought about that before you brought your son.
Well, guess what? It's the last week of the NBA.
Yeah.
Dude.
Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Go to another game in the season maybe.
Yeah.
Just
FC
Oh, I
Rayo
thought about
had
it,
some
sorry,
free tickets
yeah.
you could have gone to.
Yeah, there you go.
Should have gone to a
Is it
Barons
FC
game,
Rayo
I guess.
or is it Rayo FC? Rayo FC.
It's
Rayo.
actually Rayo OKC, right?
I think so.
Which is
Rayo.
a play on the FC, which most of these football clubs.
Fuck, I don't know, man.
Okay.
There's the only team you need to worry about or care about is the Roughnecks. So. Trust me, I've got a scar.
I saw it.
Pretty wicked, huh? Say it audibly so everybody can. No, okay. Just not part of the scarf crowd. I wasn't either. Now I am. Okay, so what are we?
Let's
done?
spool up the FTL or.
I feel like literally all I did was bring up old like.
Hey,
old
that's
shitty
fine
arguments.
because I
Yeah,
think
you
we're
suck.
gonna
You suck.
we're gonna
This
go
was
forward
a
with
low
this,
point
man.
for you here.
Yeah, we're gonna go forward with this. I mean, because I think it matters, like especially how much we're willing to spend. Are we like I said earlier? We're gonna look back and be like, well, gee, we got that one finals game win out of all of this.
Which would be that would suck.
If that's what we got out of having
Two
Russell
top 5
Westbrook
players on the
and
same
Kevin
fucking
Durant
team.
this entire fucking time,
Yeah,
I will be a little upset.
exactly.
Yeah.
That's my point. Like, you know what? We could have gotten
But
one other badass and like spent the money just a little bit.
Yeah, just roll the
And say,
dice.
fuck it.
Yeah, that's what I don't get is why don't you roll the dice, man? We've made it all the way there. See if you can do it again.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Yeah.
and
So we'll see.
I'll
That's-
say
that's
this.
my point.
I was talking to my dad briefly the other day about the Thunder, and he said it. He said, man, if I had to sum up in a word the Thunder, it would be snake bit. Fucking Russell Westbrook missing significant time with his fucking knee injuries. The next season, Kevin Durant missing. These are right after the Harden trade.
I know.
Yeah.
So you have to say,
It's Lil B.
We're in the conference final.
It's the base god curse.
Give me the
Hey, we're in the
fucking
conference
microphone.
finals and Ibaka gets hurt.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I mean, you have to. That's
I mean, okay, so we can have a little bit of fun with the way back machine here. So it's 2012 finals, right? And we don't trade Harden afterwards.
Yeah.
And so the Rockets don't have him. So we're not playing them in the next year's playoffs. And
I see where you're going
so
with
Patrick Beverly never
Doesn't-
collides
just-
with Russell Westbrook. Russell Westbrook's knee doesn't get injured. We have a full healthy squad.
this. Yeah.
well,
And
we'll-
who
we'll-
won that year? I think that was the year the Heat won over the Spurs.
It was the year that he
Yeah.
won over the Spurs.
We'll get Doc Brown on this, and we'll.
Well, what was the guy's name? He's got like a whole bunch of gigawatts of electricity. The guy you
Daniel
guys
Wade.
helped crowdfund.
Yeah, we'll get with him. Maybe he can send us back. We can figure all this
Back to
We
out.
don't
the
need all of
future.
it. We just need 1.21. I'm just gonna borrow it.
He's trying to make 18.
Let me
Dude,
just
we go
have
back
some,
multiple
right?
times.
just have
Okay, we've gone off the rails officially.
That's
I think.
fine.
So,
That's fine.
yeah,
we went a little long this episode.
That's
so
fine.
biggie.
Yeah. We went a little short, maybe. Sort. Well, we kind of hit our average last
Yeah,
episode.
dude.
So anyway, all right. Well, it's escape velocity time, so we're gonna get the hell out of here. Our contact details: ufppodcast@gmail.com, at UFP Podcast on Twitter, and Unidentified Flying Podcast on Facebook. Just send us whatever y'all got. So until next time, this has been Drew, and well, actually, real quick, Steve, thank you again. This
Yeah.
2
always
episodes
welcome.
you let us record
we'll
here.
have you return.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Always fun. Sometimes educational.
There you go.
Mostly not.
Hey, you just summed up the show. Sometimes educational, sometimes I don't know.
All right, so this has been Drew, and
This is Brad.
you've been listening to the Unidentified Flying Podcast. Light years ahead of the curve.